Madison was screaming at the tow truck driver, her face a cocktail of outrage and disbelief, but the one-way-only sign was crystal clear. Her Lexus was being dragged off the newly paved Easement road, the road I owned. The same road she and her little HOA cult had used for years like it was their divine right. Oh, and about that $60,000 fine they handed me? I turned it into an investment. One that turned their peaceful cul-de-sac into what I now call the Kula trap. You're probably thinking, wait, what? How do you even pull that off legally? And how did she not notice? Well, it all started 6 months earlier, when I moved into the house my late uncle left me. I'm a civil engineer. Dealing with zoning laws and property boundary nonsense is second nature. But nothing could have prepared me for the HOA's religious zealotry, spearheaded by a woman who genuinely believed she was some kind of suburban monarch. The house itself was a dream, tucked just outside a supposedly private gated community, complete with a curved driveway that led into a narrow road connecting to the main street. I didn't think much of it. It was quiet, had solid bones, and I was ready to renovate and enjoy the peace. Until the letters began. The first one came hand-delivered by a woman who looked like she walked straight off a casting call for Lifetime Villainous number 4, Chris Blazer, permanent smirk, and a tone that made "Welcome to the neighborhood" sound like a threat. She introduced herself as Madison Penrose. Yes, Madison. And she handed me a fancy envelope from the HOA. Inside, a list of rules, a community calendar, and a warning. Not a welcome, not a heads up, a warning. My driveway, they claimed, violated access ordinances because it connected to a privately maintained road belonging to the HOA. I laughed. My uncle had lived there for over 30 years. That driveway had been in use since before most of the neighborhood was even built. But a week later, the fine arrived, $60,000 for unauthorized road access, property damage, and violation of community traffic code. It came on thick faux parchment with a logo that looked like it belonged on a bad soap opera. I tried to talk to Madison. I brought out my uncle's old property documents, including a notarized easement agreement that predated the HOA itself. She didn't even glance at them. Our lawyers will have that revoked, she said. You can't just claim access to a community road. It sets a bad precedent. I asked, what precedent? She replied, people doing whatever they want, thinking they're above the rules. I told her I was above her nonsense, not the rules. That's when it really began. First came warning signs posted at the edge of my driveway. Then Madison started photographing my house like it was a crime scene. And then one morning, I woke up to the sound of clanking chains and saw my work truck being hooked up to a tow. I had to pay $300 to get my own vehicle back. No apology. Just another smug email citing a rule that didn't apply. So I stopped playing nice. I tore through my uncle's records, land surveys, easement contracts, tax documents. The easement wasn't just valid, it was bulletproof. It gave me access rights, maintenance rights, even the option to buy adjacent land if it ever came available. Guess what? My uncle had already placed a down payment on the rest. I brought it all to a property lawyer. He read through it like it was a treasure map. You technically own the traffic route servicing half this neighborhood, he said. Then he asked the question that changed everything. What do you want to do about it? I just wanted peace. But then Madison taped a cease and desist to my front door, demanding I terminate all use of the road and construct a new driveway. With a handwritten note, you're not special. The rules apply to everyone. That's when I realized she didn't want compliance. She wanted control. So I made a few phone calls to the land trust managing the easement. The rest of the land was available. Dirt cheap. Unclaimed for years. A few forms later, I owned it. Legally. Permanently. I could post signs, restrict access, repaint the road, make it one way only, anything I wanted. But before I even made a move, the HOA tried something bold, annexation. A letter arrived saying the HOA was extending their boundary to include my property. It read like a cartoon villain's plan. My uncle had specifically opted out of the HOA when they formed. Now they wanted to claim me like a lost dog. My lawyer nearly choked laughing. They don't have the authority, he said. This is HOA cosplay. Still, they started acting like I was under their thumb, letters demanding I change my fence, tear down an old shed, replace my front door. All under the illusion I was part of their regime. Then came Chuck, Madison's husband. He walked my property with a clipboard like he was a code inspector. I told him if he didn't get off my porch, I'd report his face to the pavement. That same week, I filed the paperwork for the last unclaimed strip connecting their neighborhood to the main road. 10 days later, I owned it. I posted a sign, private easement, access limited. Madison lost it. Called an emergency HOA meeting, spun conspiracy theories about outsiders sabotaging the neighborhood. I installed cameras and documented every vehicle. And then they towed my cousin's car, parked well within my property. I called the police. The responding officer read my paperwork and told the tow driver to unhook it or face charges. Madison showed up 5 minutes later, trying to flex authority. The officer shut her down cold. The next day, I posted a new sign, private easement, one-way exit only. Entry without permission is trespassing. Chaos. Deliveries canceled. Rideshares dumped people 2 blocks away. Landscapers refused to come. And I ignored every email. Then came another cease and desist from the HOA. I forwarded it to my lawyer. They're threatening to sue you for using your own land, he laughed. So I took it up a notch. I had the road resurfaced. Fresh paint. New signs. Legal language. It was my land, and I was declaring it. The neighborhood chat lit up like a Christmas tree. Residents losing it. Some couldn't re-enter their homes without technically trespassing. Madison broke the rules herself. Caught her SUV on camera, clear as day. I sent her a $150 invoice for unauthorized access. She ignored it. So I certified the letter and CC'd the board. A few days later, one of her followers did the same. I fined her too. Madison showed up with a petition signed by 20 neighbors demanding I back down. I asked, do any of them on the road? She didn't answer. Then they can roll that paper up and respectfully dispose of it. Then came the construction crew. Saturday morning. Measuring my land for a sidewalk expansion. I stopped them, called the police again. They packed up fast. Madison showed up mid-chaos trying to play nice. I told her the next violation would result in civil litigation. And then I found it. Old neighborhood blueprints labeling the road as external ownership with shared use, not HOA controlled. And worse for them? Their trash contract required uninterrupted access. Without my cooperation, it was in breach. I mailed the documents anonymously to every board member. Except Madison. Then came the HOA tribunal summons. Reckless endangerment. Obstruction. Hostile environment. I laughed for 2 solid minutes. I attended, binder in hand. Madison opened with dramatic flair. I let her finish, then played video after video of her trespassing, followed by notarized documents and municipal codes. You could feel the shift. The board members realized they were in legal quicksand. I ended with, I'm happy to provide copies. And if you still think I'm a danger, feel free to take me to court. I'll bring popcorn. Silence. Madison floundered. Meeting adjourned. That night, I got apology emails from board members. Some wanted to negotiate. I told them, drop the fines. Acknowledge the overreach. Amend the charter. Until then, my road stayed 1A out. Then came the final blow. I installed a gate. Clean. Motorized. Emergency override built in. Access codes only for residents who signed my easement agreement. Madison didn't get one. The next morning, she tried to tailgate in. Got stuck. Had to reverse out in front of half the neighborhood. That week, the HOA held a public meeting. Residents were furious. Someone asked, have we been using a road we don't own for 10 years? Madison tried to spin it. Too late. Petitions flew. Votes counted. Within 48 hours, she was out. The board apologized. Offered to pay my legal fees. I declined. Said I'd reopen the road if they permanently gave up authority over the easement. They did. Madison sold her house and vanished. Last I heard, she was yelling at a moving truck driver about scratch marks. I kept the signs up. Even added a new one. Respect the road. They call me a suburban folk hero now. But I'm just a guy who got tired of being pushed around and turned a $60,000 fine into the biggest flex in HOA history. Because I didn't just win. I paved the way out and made sure they'd never forget it.